to talk about conference champions in 2026. Millis, what's your thoughts on it, man? Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the ACC. Who do you think preseason will possibly win the ACC championship?
I think it's an interesting race. A few years back, if you had asked me any year, I'd say it's Clemson. Clemson's to lose. Not saying they can't do it, but, you know, there's a couple good teams out there. I'm not sure who I would say is one and two, but I think at the very top, unless you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but is it not Miami's to lose right now? Think about it. They just came off a national title run. They lost Carson Beck. I think he's with the Cardinals now, but they do bring in the guy from Duke, Darian Mensah. Um, bring a lot back on defense and good returning production. I would start with the ACC and say Miami should be the odds-on favorite.
I completely agree with that, Ballard. I think that it's Miami's conference to lose. I think that everything that you said, they're bringing back good production, uh, men's at quarterback. I think Miami's going to be a brutal team this year. Uh, their schedule's not too, their conference schedules is doable. And they're bringing back Mark Fletcher at running back. They got
Yep.
receivers coming back. I think the ACC belongs to Miami this year,
Now, if it's
and
not
that's my
them, I
preseason
will
pick.
say be on the lookout for an SMU or a Virginia. Remember, Virginia won 11 games last year and missed the playoffs. They had a good case to get in. Might they be motivated coming back this next season? We'll see. But right now, I think it's Miami's to lose in the ACC. Let's come back to like the Big Ten and SEC. Let's just go to the Big 12. I thought it was up for grabs for almost anybody last year. Um, we have the Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech stuff. I don't know. Do you still see them as a conference threat there?
No, I don't think that Texas Tech is a threat to win the Big 12 this year. Also, I don't
Hmm.
think West Virginia has a chance. My pick for the Big 12 conference champions, my preseason pick would probably be Utah.
I might agree with you there. They won their last six games. They finished 11-2. You do have to be careful though. Kyle Whittingham goes over to Michigan, so I'm trying to think who out there
Hmm.
might have finished pretty strong. I mean, you got to be careful with maybe a TCU or Arizona State, but I could agree with Utah there. Um, outside of that, it's just, I mean, it's hard to pick on Baylor or Colorado or West Virginia. Those are teams that could see improvement, but again, don't pick it until you see it.
Yeah, I think TCU might have a great season this year, but I feel like TCU is kind of on a downward trend right now. Uh, and
Yeah.
Arizona State could possibly win that conference. But I'm sticking with Utah. I think it's the year of the Ute in the Big
Yeah,
12 conference.
it might be. Yeah, another team kind of intrigued me last year to start the season. To start out was Houston. They won their first four games, including wins over Oregon State and Colorado. They finished 9-3 last year, so keep an eye on them. Don't forget they beat LSU in the Texas Bowl to get 10 wins on the year. Again, I'm not an expert on Houston or teams like that with returning production and picks, but I mean, who knows, man? I mean, they might can make some noise too. So I would watch out for the Cougars.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
Who do you
what
like?
about
Who do you like in the Big Ten?
ooh, I was actually talking quite a bit about it the other day, man. There's a couple dark horses out there. I think Indiana's gonna have some competition as the defending champs. They're gonna bring some guys back. They're also losing guys like Mendoza or whoever. But I think because of Kurt Signetti, they'll still be one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the conference. However, I would say that it starts, and I think it's 1A, 1B. You can take your pick on who's better, but Oregon and Ohio State start out in the Big Ten. I think Michigan might have a good chance with Winningham too. But I mean, you think about it, man. There's a lot of teams that finish 9-4 or 8-5 or whatever overall that just barely missed the 10-win mark. And they had a really good
Hmm.
chance to make the Big Ten title. Um, I think Washington could be pretty surprising. There's teams out there I'm not really counting on, like Nebraska, Minnesota, Penn State. Could they get back into it with Matt Campbell as head coach? They could, but at the same time, are they a little hungover with some guys transferring and leaving and stuff like that? And obviously the departure of James Franklin, who's now at Virginia Tech. What's your thoughts on the Big Ten?
Well, the Big Ten does have quite a few strong contenders every year. And there'll be probably at
Yeah,
least three teams out of the Big Ten going to the playoffs, possibly four. I mean, there's going to be at least three teams from the Big Ten in the playoffs this season. But I think Penn State is one of those teams that starts out really strong and then kind of chokes
yes.
mid-season.
Or who knows? Maybe they struggle and then they pick it up. I mean, you could always have a reverse of that, right?
But I think if I have to pick one team in the Big Ten to win the Big Ten conference this coming season, uh, I think I have a sleeper team, and that's going to be Oregon. I'm
Okay.
preseason picking Oregon to win the Big Ten conference this year. I think they're a sleeper team,
I like it. I
and
I don't
I
know if
may be
I'd say they're
wrong. I could
sleeper.
be
I
wrong.
I think if in terms of being the best in the Big Ten, hands down, they're a sleeper. But I would still say there's a lot of people high on them doing that.
Well,
Um,
and look,
I'm
people
gonna
are
tell
going to
you a
say, "Well,
sleeper team real quick. Yeah,
Oregon chokes every year. Year after year,
yeah,
they go way high and they get in the playoffs and they choke out." So people in the comments are going to be like, "Well, Millis is dumb because Oregon chokes more than anybody." But something just
right.
tells me that this is the year of the duck, and Oregon's going to win the Big Ten championship this year. This is the year
Now
they
keep
don't
an eye
choke.
on this team. I'm not saying they're going to, but I would keep an eye on the Fighting Illini of Illinois, who did pretty good last year. If you keep an eye on them and look at their schedule and everything, I think it sets up nicely. But again, I need to see it. But who knows? Do they sneak up and maybe cause some chaos?
You know what? You're right. Illinois could be a sleeper team in 26.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about them. Yeah, the case in point, I forgot all about Illinois. Illinois had a great season last year. I don't know what they're bringing
yeah.
back for this year, but Illinois could
I
be a sleeper
think
team, and they could disrupt
I
some.
think
They
the
could
only thing
disrupt
holding
some
them back.
schedules.
I'm just trying to think. I think they lost their quarterback. I don't think they have Altmaier anymore. And they got to bring in a new quarterback a little bit. I don't know who it's going to be,
Well, they
what it's
certainly
going to
haven't been
look
in the
like.
news very much.
No, but I
They
feel
haven't
like
been
a team like that not getting attention. I mean, who knows what they're doing behind
right.
the scenes, right? Yeah,
That's true. That's true, Ballard. That's very true.
yeah.
And then finally, we
So
have
we
the
can. Who do
SEC.
we? Yeah, I was fixing to say. For the Power Four here, I guess we got the SEC. We
Mm-hmm.
would both hope and pray that it's Alabama. But let's be realistic here,
Of
man.
course.
I've been really high on Texas this offseason. I think it would start with them. Now you still have contenders like Alabama, like Georgia, like
Mm-hmm.
A&M. Um, but I don't know. Would you agree that Texas seems to be the odds-on favorite for now with
Well,
watching
as a
everybody?
fellow Bama fan and Gump Tard, I would love to see a surprise Alabama team, Keelan Russell and or Austin Mack just be amazing on the field. And
For sure.
Alabama turns out to be this underrated team that just goes 10-2, wins the SEC conference championship. Nothing would make Millis Vanillas happier than to see that. You know, we have a lot of unknown players going on the field this year, and so it would tickle me pink to see that happen. However, I
Mhm.
feel like in reality, here back on planet Earth, that the SEC comes down to either Texas or the Georgia Bulldogs. And, I have to pick a team because this is our preseason pick for conference championship. It's a tough pick between
Yeah.
Georgia and Texas, but I'm going to just give a slight edge to the Bulldogs for the SEC championship. And I mean, we got other teams. Ole Miss could win it. There's a lot of teams, but I
Mhm.
think that Georgia
Well, who knows?
Bulldogs will
Maybe. I mean,
slightly. I would pick them
yeah,
slightly
keep
ahead
an
of
eye.
Texas, but only slightly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost a coin flip between the two. I would agree, though, slightly. I mean, I think with the
Absolutely.
experience coaching and everything, it's Georgia, but Texas will be dangerous. Ole Miss might be okay. Bama has a good chance, too. Never count out the Tide. Watch out for, I don't know, man. Maybe Oklahoma. Oklahoma made the playoffs last year. They bring some guys back on defense. They could be loaded, too. They might be a threat to some teams.
A&M is another team. A&M, they're
Yeah.
going to have a
Heck
great
yeah.
team this year. I haven't looked at their schedule, but uh, they got a lot coming back, and A&M could be a threat to win the conference championship in the SEC this year. Uh,
Yeah.
I think the SEC will have at least three teams in the playoffs come this November or whatever, December.
That'd be fun. Is that the last of the Power
So
Four there
yeah,
that we
well,
cut
that's
off
the
with?
last of the Power
And
Four
then
conferences. We have.
let me ask you
Now we can
this.
go back.
Uh,
We can go back in December and watch this
Yeah.
video and see how well we did.
Now, here's a bonus. You talk about the teams that can make the college football playoff and everything. Do you have your eyes on anybody in the group of five that might make some noise or you hope does good this year for the playoff?
Hmm. Good question.
I hope I hope here in Florida, I'm looking at USF, although they did lose Alex Golish to Auburn, hoping they can make some noise a little bit, maybe get Army from the American or somebody. Shout out to the Bama team and UAB. Trying to think who else. What other conference USA? They probably won't have any, but let's just be real there. I don't know, man. I mean, it'd
Mm,
be it'd be an interesting mix of teams there. I mean, maybe you get the Mountain West. You've had like UNLV on the radar lately. You had Boise State make it. Um, San Diego
that's who I was
State
going to say.
finished
Boise
9-4.
State.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Boise State could get in
It's
the playoffs
interesting
this year.
though.
They have a great team.
What was so crazy is like there were it was Boise State, New Mexico, UNLV, and San Diego State all finished with the same conference record at 6-2. Nine and
Yeah,
five overall for
yeah,
Boise State, 9-4 for New Mexico and San Diego. UNLV had the best overall record from the Mountain West on the whole season, 10-4. Might Lou and LV, shout out to Uncle Lou. Might they make some noise, man? Dan Mullen,
they
right?
could. Yeah, that's Dan Mullen. That's correct. Yeah, UNLV definitely could be a G5 threat